What's up, everybody? I'm Jesse Showalter, and I have officially been working remote for 1 entire year. That's right, 365 days of no coworkers and no sharing desks and no commute, just me in this office with me, and outside at coffee shops sometimes, but for the most part, just me right here. Working remote has been a super huge blessing, and it's been really fun and awesome, but it doesn't come without its challenges and its risks. And so I wanted to share with you the 5 biggest lessons that I've learned about working remote. A few years back, I made a video about working from home because at that time I was sick for a few days and I had to work from home. That video was also focused on some of the practical aspects of working from home, like what programs to use to help you stay distraction free and how to turn off social media. And I'm gonna put a list of all of those items that I talked about in that video right here. That entire list still stands true for me. I still do all of those things as I work from home, but there are some bigger lessons about working remote that I want to share with you today. Lesson number 1, working remote is a lot less fun than maybe you think it is. I feel like there's some sort of idea out there, if you've never worked remote, that working remote is the best thing ever. You get to go to the gym when you want, and you get to go out to fun places and work at cool coffee shops, but I feel like not all of that is a facade, but a lot of that is a facade. That's people showing you kind of the most glamorous parts of being able to work from home or work remote and travel and do all that kind of stuff. But a lot of times you are literally just cooped up in your home office, earphones on, cranking away. On top of that, it's a very solitary or isolated kind of experience. My coworkers back in Hawaii are still, hanging out, having coffee and having fun group lunches and playing board games on Friday and having a lot of fun inside jokes and everything that takes place in the office. And I don't get to take part in those anymore. And so because of that, it can feel a little bit lonely. Don't get me wrong, working remote is not boring and it's not horrible. It's just not as fun as maybe some people make it out to be. Lesson number 2, working remote requires a lot more character and integrity and moral fiber than working in an office, in my opinion. I always thought of myself as somebody who is really integrous and able to work without any sort of micromanagement or even management, that I was a self-starter and self-motivated. But working remote for an entire year, it challenges the view that I have of myself in that way. And I've had to put things in place, certain programs that make me focus and really shutting everything else down to help me really stay honed in on what I'm supposed to be doing and not mess around and do other things that I'm not supposed to be doing, because it's always there. It's always a danger. And it's always kind of calling to you because you can. You just have to know that you shouldn't. So my encouragement is, if you're thinking about working remote, really do some deep searching and figure out if you're the type of person that can be morally upright and integrous in the work that you do. Lesson number 3 is that working remote is a situational give and take. What I mean by that is what you gain in lack of commute and your freedom and the ability to work in sweatpants, if that's what you want to do, you end up losing in privacy and autonomy. Like, people can message you late at night on Slack when you're in the middle of dinner, or you might need to upload some files while you were getting ready to go out after you're off of work. And that's just what you have to be okay with. You have to be able to say, those sacrifices that I make over here, are okay because I'm gaining these other things over here. If you can do that, I think it really helps you from feeling undervalued or taken advantage of. You have to always keep in mind the blessings and the things that you're gaining and keep those in comparison to the things that you are quote unquote losing. So it is a give and take. You have to be okay with that give and take. Other people might have more structure or more freedom, or when they leave the office, because you're not an office worker, no one's going to message them while they're at home, but it happens to you, and that's okay. Lesson number 4, working remote is lonely. And I know we already kind of touched on that in one of the previous lessons, but I wanted to dive a little deeper into it because I'm an extreme extrovert and you might be an extreme introvert, and that would just be the best thing ever for you to be alone, nobody talking to you. But for me, it's really, really hard. Being around people is how I get filled up. It's how I get motivated and energized. And when I don't have those things, it can feel very isolated and lonely, and I can get a little bit depressed. I think one of the hardest things is that on my team, I'm the only person that works remote. And I know some other people who work on fully distributed, fully remote teams, and maybe it feels like they're all in the same boat together, but me, sometimes I can feel like I'm the only person on the outside looking in. And I think some of the things that can kind of combat that is, number one, having a really great team. I have an awesome team. Everybody on my team is phenomenal, and they all go out of my way to make me feel loved and part of the team. They set up extra meetings that I can be a part of. On my birthdays, they sent me a pie. They just go above and beyond. I think it's important that if you can find that kind of team, it's going to help you so much more from feeling isolated and lonely. And I think the second thing to kind of combat being lonely is being a good team member. You know, you can't always expect everybody to come to you. You have to do the work. And so sending messages, you know, to other people on the team, not just the maybe one or two that I constantly deal with, but everybody, hey, how's it going? And, you know, treating it like I want to have a little bit of that lunchtime table talk with everybody on the team, if it's a small enough team. For me, it is. And so that's nice. Sometimes I just ping certain members of the team and go, hey, how you doing? You know, I was playing a game the other day and I thought about that thing you said one time, and just kind of trying to integrate yourself in, not expecting everybody to come to you, but you go to them. Lesson number 5 is that working remote can be a constant mind game. And here's what I mean by that. Stress, anxiety, guilt, fear. I feel as if because I'm separated or isolated, because I don't have as much interaction, I'm constantly wondering if I'm doing a good enough job, if I'm working long enough, if my productivity is good enough. And that can kind of stress me out because I'm a person who wants to do a really good job. I also am a person who wants to keep my job. So I want to make sure that I'm performing well. And those things can really stress you out. Even when I had like a recent review, like employee review, where they told me how I was doing, what my performance was. I had at that point been working remote for about 8 months, and my design lead sat me down and said, hey, I think you're doing even better. I think your productivity is even better when you're working remote because you get so much focus. So you're just crushing it, and we're loving it. So don't be fearful, don't be stressed out. You are like a super appreciated member of the team. And that felt really good because it was a direct answer to something that I'm constantly thinking. I think when you work remote, it's easy for your mind to wander and wonder if you are really part of the team, if you're really appreciated, if you're actually doing a good job, if they really see the value in you, or if they're fearful that you're taking advantage. And so I just think you have to be aware of the constant mind game and be willing to fight back against that mind game, you know, do good work and be really integrous and let that really be the thing that overshadows any of your anxieties or fears or doubts about you and your current situation. So, yep. Well, that's it. Those are the top 5 lessons I've learned from working remote this past year. If you work remote, I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. What kind of challenges and struggles do you have? What do you love about working remote? And what kind of preconceived notions did you have when you went into it? I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I do lots of videos about design and development and remote working just like this one, so maybe stick around. I hope you guys are having an amazing week designing amazing things, making amazing things, and doing it from the place that you enjoy doing it the most. I'll see you in the next one.